Hi everyone! Welcome to my series of ClickUp tutorials. In this episode, I'll explain the logic of ClickUp user roles and permissions that essentially define who can do what in the tool and how information can be shared. We'll first start with user roles, as these are the default settings of ClickUp and serve as the basis of permission settings. Owner is the most powerful role in ClickUp, as it corresponds to the workspace creator. Owners can do pretty much anything in the tool, all the way from deleting the entire workspace. They are also the only ones capable of transferring the ownership of a workspace, so it's best to keep this role separate from the normal operational roles in ClickUp. Admin is the next level in the list, and as the name describes it, this role is responsible for ClickUp settings, meaning adding new members in the tool, as well as managing integrations, imports, and exports, to name a few examples. Members are the normal contributors and regular users of the tool. It's worth keeping in mind that members have quite a lot of editing power too. They can create spaces, folders, and lists, set up reports and custom fields, as well as add guests in ClickUp. If you have small teams who are autonomous and able to work according to jointly agreed guidelines in the tool, it's perfectly fine to let them have standard member profiles in ClickUp. On the other hand, if you have a large group of users or you know that some people tend to steer away from given guidelines, I would recommend creating a custom member role with more limited editing options. Otherwise, there is a risk that users will create and deploy so many features that working in the tool turns out to be too confusing and complicated. Not to mention that restoring and cleaning up a messy workspace can turn out to be a real challenge. The fourth user role is guest. This is the most limited one, and as the name refers, is intended for those infrequently contributing to the work in the tool. A perfect example of using the guest role is assigning work to an external consultant or service provider. They don't need to see the whole of ClickUp contents and definitely do not need to edit any of the tool settings. The default guest profile can only edit task information, and they are directly invited into a task, list, or a folder, meaning space level is not possible for them. As mentioned earlier, there is a bonus feature called custom roles, which means that you can tailor roles based on your business needs. This functionality is available only in the most extensive subscription level in ClickUp called Enterprise. One factor I'd like to also point out here is costs. ClickUp pricing is mostly based on the number of members in the workspace, and each member also allows for a certain amount of free guest seats in the workspace. It's worth the effort to consider first how you want ClickUp to be used prior to making a purchase decision, especially if you're on a tight budget. Now that you know how the default user profiles affect the way of working in ClickUp, let's move on to other settings that you can use to restrict or allow accesses in the tool. By default, all ClickUp members in the same workspace can see everything in the tool. You can restrict the access on any level, space, list, folder, or task, by clicking on Sharing and Permissions button, making it private, and then reviewing and adding relevant members in that particular level. I strongly recommend to set up access rights on the topmost level, meaning workspace or space level whenever possible. And this should be quite logical and easy to do if your ClickUp hierarchy is built based on departments, teams, or other groups that typically work together. If it seems that you or others need to provide many separate accesses to multiple folders, lists, or tasks, it might be wise to look at the hierarchy again and see if the setup makes sense. Whenever sharing an item separately, be it a folder, list, or a task, there is also an option in any of the paid subscription plans to further define what kind of access the user may have. There are 5 different levels ranging from view only all the way to full edit option. Unless there is a very specific need to use the enhanced permission settings, I would recommend to avoid them and keep the setup simple, both from collaboration as well as maintenance point of view. Finally, if you have people who do not actually update anything in the tool, but you'd like to provide a view to the tool or certain levels of it, you can always click on the Share button on the top right part of ClickUp View and select Public via Web option, which gives you a link that can be shared with anyone. There is no need for ClickUp user role or access for that purpose. Let's have a quick look at the permission and sharing options in the tool. To start with generic user management, click on the menu on the bottom left corner in ClickUp. You can directly invite people via the Invite button, or manage current users or add new ones via the People selection. Now, if you'd like to make a specific level, such as this one private, you first need to click on the three dots, followed by selecting the Sharing and Permissions option. This view will show current accesses and you are able to add new ones. It is very easy to make the item private and back to public. Adding a person is also quick. Just type the email address or the name of a person if they are already a ClickUp user. Then select the other settings. As you can see, the paid subscription allows for more granular permission levels if needed. Finally, let's look at the Share option on the top right corner. There are many options here as well, and a very useful one is the Public via Web. When setting it on, you can further modify access in terms of what is allowed to be displayed and how long the link is accessible.